Hello everybody, MechlordGames here, coming at you with a deck profile. I know that I can sit there and say that I hate meta, because generally I do. But I am addicted to machine decks. And I didn't realize that this was machines. But it's Qliphort. And my opinion on Qliphort, broken, fun, consistent. I love this deck. I gotta say, for a meta deck, it is actually one meta deck that I could actually get used to and play till Yu-Gi-Oh dies. I don't even care. I will play this till it dies. So Qliphort Scout, obviously, its name says Scout. You search things. That's what it does. And it's also going to be your level 9 Pendulum Scale. It does give you free reign to summon anything. Well, actually, no, never mind. You don't get free reign. You can only still special summon Cleat monsters. But, whatever. That's really not too big of a deal with this deck. But pay 100 life points, add any Klee card from your hand. From your deck to your hand that's pretty broken. Two Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, just a way to search out Qliphort Scout or Trampolinix. Trampolinix you can actually use to bounce back your scouts to hand, and then go for, then start going for Pendulum Summonings if you don't really want to risk your scouts anymore. Oh, or like let's say you have two scouts in hand and you just want to search as much as possible, go for it, play your scouts, search, and then summon Trampolinix and bounce Qliphort Scout back to your hand so you still have one of your 9 scales. You have 3 Qliphort Carrier. When it's tributed, bounce back monsters. Absolutely love this card. It summons at level 4 with only 1800 attack, so that is one thing you do have to be aware of with Qliphorts, is that they don't summon with the best amount of attack. 3 Qliphort Disc. When tribute summoned, you can summon 2 Qliphort monsters from the deck. Could be anything, except for obviously, towers and everything. But you can summon discs with it. You can summon carrier, scouts, helixes. Helix, when it's tributed, you just pop back row. But helix, disc, and carrier all become 1800 when normal summoned without tributing, but when you do normal summon them by tributing, their attacks are at full power. So Qliphort Disc, you'd normal tribute it, it becomes full power monster. It has a pendulum scale of 1, carrier is 1, helix is 9. The thing with the thing with helix is your opponent's monsters lose 800 attack, and with carrier and disc as your ones, all Qli monsters gain 300 attack. So that is a little bit of attack boost for them that they just so much love and appreciate. But if you have helix and carrier in your pendulum zones, you're going to do an extra 600 damage per hit to your opponent's monster. So that is just amazing. Only around 1 laser clip. It's searchable. It's your field spell. You can get an extra normal summon in addition to your regular normal summon. And normal summons of Qli monsters cannot be negated. It is an epic card, and I recommend you get laser clip as fast as possible. Aside from getting your helixes and your carriers and your disc, because those are also very important. 3 MST, dualities, Regeki, 3 sacrifice. Sacrifice is just too broken. The equipped monster becomes 2 tributes, and when sacrifice is sent to the graveyard, you can search out a Qli monster. So you throw it on helix, tribute helix for disc. You're gonna not only get disc's effect to summon 2, so you would go like disc chainlink 1, sacrifice chainlink 2, and helix chainlink 3. Pop your opponent's back row, then search, then summon. It's just the best way to really go about playing their effects off. Summoner's Art searches for scout. 3 upstart, you just want draw power. Climate Change, really good card. Not the best card in the deck per se, as far as traps that you can run with them, but it's pretty decent. You just add pendulum monster cards from your extra deck to your hand, and then that just would allow you to tribute them off, get their effects, or just pendulum summon them anyway. But Climate Change, be broken. Double skill drain. really works wonders with this deck. At 3 it becomes cloggy, and at 3 you won't get to really run any of your effects of disc off. You could side a third one, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Solemn Warning, 2 Trap Stun, 2 Vanity. This deck works extremely well with Vanity because you pretty much, for the majority, just normal summon everything, and you rarely ever have to pendulum summon unless you really just are tired of playing around with your opponent and you want to wreck them. But with Vanity's Emptiness, even when these are disturbed from the field, they do not go to the graveyard, so Vanity's Emptiness will stay on the field, even when your Qli monsters are destroyed. Since they're all pendulum monsters, they go to the extra deck, so that's a lovely little thing there. Side deck, just 3 Maxi. A lot of decks still like to special summon a lot. Stop your, shadow opponents from going in too far, or try to stop your Burning Abyss players going too far. Vanity's Fiend, just a monster you contribute summon to negate special summons, so just neither player can special summon when Vanity's Fiend is on the field. This card single-handedly will shut down pretty much everything. But do be aware of this. Actually happened to me earlier. I was in a match against Shadows, and I was gonna win. I had Vanity's Fiend on the field, and then my opponent searched out for Squamata, set Squamata. I attacked into it, flip, pop Vanity's Fiend, and he just went off because I didn't have anything else really to stop it. But 2 Night Beam, just decks that run more heavy back row. Night Beam is a good solution to that. Spell Shattering Arrow is a good side deck card for the Qliphort matchups, but honestly I would recommend taking this out and throwing in Dust Tornado, just my opinion. But this was a deck that was basically given to me by a friend, and he recommends Spell Shattering Arrow, so I'm just trying it out, and works great against Qliphort, but you can't really do anything with it against other things, so Dust Tornado, I think, in my opinion, is still a better side in. Monarch Stormforth, this card is epic in this deck, and I mean epic. It is really just epic. You pretty much tribute summon all the time in this deck, so Monarch Stormforth, use your opponent's monster to tribute it, and it's good. But the turn you use it, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck, so no pendulum summoning the turn that you use Monarch Stormforth. And if you pendulum summon, you cannot use Monarch Stormforth, so that is a thing to be aware of. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, just for those shadow matches and those Burning Abyss matches that you'll get into quite often. For the extra, it's pretty much all for show. You rarely, and I mean rarely, ever exceeds, due to the fact that, for one thing, if you have this in your pendulum zone, this, or this in your pendulum zone, you cannot special summon any monsters except Qli monsters. So that's a thing you are going to have to be aware of when playing this deck. But things you can summon into: Abyss Dweller, Karen Organ, Castell, Dark Rebellion, Xyz Dragon, Diamond Direwolf, Exeter Knight, Gagaga Cowboy, Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger, Draco Sack, Silent Honor Arc, Ragna Zero, Big Eye, Volcasaurus, Foot on Strike Bouncer, Shark Fortress. It's pretty much all for looks, because you can't ever make any of these, so the extra deck is pretty much for show. And people are probably like, why do you not run Towers? In my opinion, Towers is kind of a bad card, due to 2 factors. For one, you have to tribute 3 Qliphort monsters. Yes, when you tribute them, you do get their effects off, and I understand that. That is a very good point about using Towers. Tribute them off. You can search for Towers. Tribute off 3 Qliphort monsters that go to your pendulum zone, and you stop your opponent from being able to really do shit, because it's unaffected by spell and trap cards, and it's unaffected by any monster whose original level or rank is lower than Towers, and all special summon monsters lose 500 attack and defense. Once per turn, you can make your opponent send 1 monster from their hand or their side of the field to the graveyard. So you can just ditch things from their field as well, which makes Towers really good. But in my opinion, you lose a lot of that advantage sometimes when you do have Qliphort towers on the field, because you have to tribute 3. And sure, you can get their effects off, which isn't bad. And if you want, you can take out climate change for towers, because that is something I probably would end up doing, because towers is a pretty good card and it's searchable. But you tribute those 3 monsters, send them all to your extra deck. Sure. But then you're vulnerable to an MST, because then you can't, bring any of them back. And at least if you have them on the field before you tribute them, you can keep some of your field presence, and that could be a good thing. But if you do tribute it off, then your opponent has less chance of being able to make Excitonite, which a lot of players will try to do to beat this deck, and it just does not work a lot of times. But that's just like my opinion on towers. But if I were to play it, swap climate change for towers. That's really all I would do. I'm actually going to put it in and try it at 1 and just see how it goes, because I do like towers. It's a very powerful card. But I don't know. It's just like an easy win kind of thing. So it might be better. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy this deck profile, and hopefully you guys actually can play this deck well. I like it a lot. It is powerful, and they are machines, and I love anything with machines. Hence the name MechlordGames. Anything with a machine, I love it. Whether it's trains, mechlords, gadgets, machinas, so much shit. If it's a machine type deck, I love it instantly. Doesn't even have to be good. I love it. Oh, is that it? Yeah.